Hi, I'm Pam and I'm here to talk about retro video games. Today, for the first time, I'm reviewing a game on the Dreamcast. It's a port of a very silly arcade beat-em-up, Dynamite Cop.
Dynamite Cop was developed by AM1. It was first released for arcades in 1998, and then on the Sega Dreamcast in '99. This is the sequel to Die Hard Arcade, or, as it was known in Japan, Dynamite Deca. The two games are strikingly similar, and the loss of the Die Hard license doesn't make much of a difference to the story, characters, or aesthetics, as the Die Hard coat of paint the first game was given was more like a shoddy graffiti job. The sequel does change a couple things, but your primary objective isn't one of them. Pirates have taken over a cruise liner full of passengers. One of them is the president's daughter. That kid's always getting into trouble. Your job is to defeat the pirates and get her back.
In Dynamite Cop, you select between three characters to play.
Captain Bruno Dellinger is a PTSD-ridden beefcake with a monkey for a sidekick. He leaves a trail of property damage and ex-wives in his wake. Sergeant Jean Ivy loves sushi, Japanese animation, cats, and kicking people in the face. And Corporal Eddie Brown is an ex-NFL player who likes reggae and kickboxing and moonlights for a psychic advice hotline. A significant amount of the game's manual is dedicated to tongue-in-cheek descriptions and backstory for these walking stereotypes, though unsurprisingly, almost none of this is evident in-game.
You can play through the game solo or with a second player, and like most beat-em-ups, this one's better with a friend. Friendly fire is off by default, but if for some reason you like being mad at your friends, you can turn it back on.
The basic controls are simple. You can kick, punch, jump, and pick up and use objects. There are also a sizable number of combos to pull off, things like jumping spin kicks and pile drivers. In this game, you can attack in 8 different directions, as opposed to Die Hard Arcade, where you could only attack to the left or right. The weapons you find and can utilize get increasingly ridiculous. Knives, guns, and pipes are expected. The ante is upped with things like rocket launchers and missiles that explode into giant mushroom clouds. And then there are items like baguettes and hairspray. You gotta make use of what's available, I guess. Power-ups which increase your strength are fairly abundant, and there are health pickups too. You travel through a series of locations. These happen one room at a time, so there's no scrolling through environments. Between each location, there are cutscenes which show what's going on with the pirates or the player character as you travel to the next scene. The cutscenes are very short, only a couple seconds each, and make things seem very choppy. They often seem like they're cutting out before they're really finished. There are also cutscenes with QuickTime events. The visuals are a higher quality than the first game, and the animations seem a little smoother. Locations and characters are colorful and often absurd. You move through a variety of different areas on the cruise ship, like the deck, kitchen, and the disco, and run into a variety of enemies that are dressed like professional wrestlers or extras from Mad Max. Some knockoff Ninja Turtles make an appearance, and you also get to fight a giant squid in a freezer. I will never speak poorly of a kraken. Once you've made your way off the ship, you chase the pirates to their secret island base, which is where the enemy designs get real racist. As your characters take damage, they lose clothing, which is not as bad as it sounds. It's dumb as a concept, but I like their outfits best when they're at about 75% health. The music fits the game. It's a bit on the dramatic side, but it kinda has to be to have any chance of competing with the excessively loud sound effects. Game difficulty, especially if playing with 2 people, is fairly low, at least until the final boss, where there's a huge difficulty spike. He does an attack where he shoots you with his eye laser. I told you this game was ridiculous, which is seemingly impossible to avoid. I guess the arcade version had to make its money somehow. The spike is a little jarring, but continues will let you keep going until you beat him. And just like in the first game, if you beat the game on co-op, you're forced to fight your partner at the end so an ultimate winner can be decided. For some reason, continues were still enabled at this point, which can let things go on for a long time unless someone decides to throw in the towel. And the president's daughter? Well, she just laughs and dances as you battle.
Why do we keep saving this brat? She has learned some new moves though.
Dynamite Cop is short. A full playthrough takes only about 20 to 30 minutes. However, there are some choices in Extra that give it replayability. First, you can choose between 3 missions at the start of the game, which will change the first few locations you see on the cruise ship. Once you've done all these, you can open up Showdown Mode, which increases the difficulty by adding things like more enemy damage or time limits. There's a Versus mode, where you can play competitively against another player, and a Survival mode, where you face waves of enemies for as long as you can. The 1980 Sega arcade game Tranquilizer Gun is also included. In this, you play a hunter who must tranquilize wild animals and bring them back to your truck. And it's really not worth playing. I feel like this game loses something in its port to console. In an arcade environment where it's dark and loud and other people are waiting to play, some of its quirks would work much better. The choppy cutscenes would keep up the pace, and the excessively loud punching and gun sounds would be expected. But on Dreamcast, in the comfort of my own home, it feels kinda lacking.
Much like its predecessor, Dynamite Cop is a competent enough beat-em-up that's fun to play through with a friend, but it's definitely not the best of the genre. At less than 30 minutes to beat, it's a fun diversion, but not something I choose to go back to.
Here's some nightmare fuel for you.
Thank you for saving my life again.
If you want a better beat-em-up, check out my review of Streets of Rage 2. Or, if you want more of the same, watch my review of Die Hard Arcade. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.